And so the other thing that I love about chapter 5 is that it's called Diagon Alley. So we already know that Harry has answered the call. Okay. And Diagon Alley could resemble the passage that he has to take in order to get to this new world, right? I love that idea that it's an alley, right? So it automatically creates this idea of a bridge, of a passageway into this new place that he just knows nothing about. And so he does meet Malfoy, and he's the first kid his age that he meets. And he states, this is Malfoy speaking, stating to Harry, but they were our kind, weren't they? I really don't think they should let the other sort in, do you? They're just not the same. They've never been brought up to know our ways. I think they should keep it in the old wizarding families. So, this is significant because this is the first real glimpse at something beyond privilege that's associated with Malfoy. Now, as you remember, Dudley went to private school. Okay, so this is why I'm saying that Malfoy is like a more dangerous, sharper version of Dudley. Dudley went to private school. They sent Harry in rags, right, in clothes. They sent Dudley. Dudley was to be inducted into this really special thing that his father was in as a society for young men, and it's very prestigious. And so we have this idea of prestige with the Dursleys, but there's a stark difference here between the type of privilege that Malfoy is speaking so freely and openly about to Harry. Now he realizes who Harry is, even though he doesn't necessarily say in the beginning, but he does realize who he is when Harry answers that his parents are dead. Malfoy says, "Oh, sorry," not sounding sorry at all, "but they were our kind, weren't they?" And so he's asking about his parents. He's asking about their well, essentially, he's really asking about their ethnicity in a way, because he's asking if they were magical people or not, if they were Muggle or not. Is he mixed, essentially? Is he half Muggle, half wizard, like Hermione? And so he's trying to assure that who he's speaking to is actually someone who is of his caliber. That's how it's coming across. And of course, this rubs Harry the wrong way. He's seen this before. He's been treated like this before, growing up in the Dursley house. So he knows what it's like to be mistreated because he's thought of little worth in their world and their society. So Malfoy is very freely and openly speaking this way about other people. And there's no question in my mind that Malfoy knows exactly who Harry is, and by him asking that, but they were our kind, weren't they? And when Harry really doesn't know that much about his parents, but at this point he knows they were a witch and a wizard, if that's what you mean, right? And he says that to Malfoy. I really don't think they should let the other sort in, do you? And he asks for his surname, and before he can answer, their talk is interrupted. Now remember, Harry has the scar on his forehead, so at any point Malfoy could have not known who he was talking to, but my interpretation of the text is that he did have a clue about who Harry was, and he was trying to see if Harry had the same way of thinking that he did, to see if Malfoy and Harry could actually get along in this world, to see if Harry would be an ally for him, or because he does come from parents of high status in this world, or is he going to be someone that he needs to kind of shove out of his way? Now, this is a really significant, pivotal moment for Harry. This is the beginning of the pivotal moment for Harry because he must begin to decide who he wants to be in this new world. See, he gets a do-over. He gets to start over at 10. At 10, he can be a snob. He can turn into the snob that Dudley was and that his parents were, because now he can be on top in this world. Or he can continue to be who he truly is, a humble hero. And this is why Dumbledore placed him in the Dursleys' household in the first place. The last chapter from this week is chapter 6, and this is the passage, the journey from the platform. So this is really Harry's journey into another world. It's both literal and figurative. He literally goes from one place to another, practically, and that's in the interpretation of what the story is, like just the events that are unfolding. But when we look at what this means for character development, this is Harry's transition into becoming his true self. And so we see the crossover. Harry walked more quickly. And remember, he's walking into the wall. He was going to smash right into that barrier at 9 3/4, and then he'd be in trouble. Leaning forward on his cart, he broke into a heavy run. And what I love about this crossover is that it requires some faith on Harry's part. If he goes too slowly, it won't work, and he'll just smash his face into the wall, into the brick wall. If he goes too fast, he's afraid that he'll hurt himself. So he tries to go, he starts off slowly, and then he gains more and more confidence as he leans into becoming who he's meant to be. It's just a really beautifully written scene. And yet again, once he gets on the train, Harry must choose who he wants to be in this new world. Just for the sheer desire to be accepted in this new place in a way that he's never been in the Muggle world, which is the world that we all live in. He could just be pressured into being something else, but he actually really stays true to who he is, and it just makes us love Harry even more. When he encounters Malfoy yet again on the train, the text reads, he turned back to Harry. You'll find out some wizarding families are much better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there, right? And so again, Harry is being confronted. So this is a reiteration of this idea, right? This is what's getting at the theme of social class and socioeconomic status in Harry Potter, which is a middle grade novel, and people think that that's way too big of a theme to be in a middle grade novel, and yet it is, and it is so realistically. When we talk about students at the school who will have at Hogwarts, who will have parents that are half Muggle, half wizard, we're talking about, we're talking about being biracial, essentially. So we see a lot of these connotations of race and social class and then socioeconomic status at the same time because of how Malfoy attacks Ron for him being from a family that's very, very large, and so their pennies are stretched. We see this major theme being introduced in Rowling's text here, and this happens very close together from one chapter to another. So the fact that it's being reiterated, she's spending time on building this idea of how some people are not accepted, some are more accepted than others, and that this idea of social status is actually just as important in this new world as it is in this old world. So some of those demons, so to speak, that Harry is able to run from and escape in Muggle world, he's going to have to confront head on in the world of magic if he wants to be the hero that he's destined to be. And that's chapters 1 through 6. I hope you enjoy reading this. Remember, we're going to pick up next week starting in chapter 7. The reading schedule is posted in the announcements, and I hope you enjoy reading this text as much as I'm enjoying rereading it for the upteenth time. It's such a wonderfully written middle grade novel that has so many applications to older genres, to other genres. So this is the perfect lead-in to reading YA lit to talking about young adult lit in a really meaningful way, and how it encourages kids to read and keep reading, because Rowling has successfully not only created characters that we love, that we identify with, but also introducing really meaningful themes that have some serious commentary about the world, the real world that we all live in and share together. Okay, so I will see you next week, and I hope you've been able to complete your notes from this video. Stay tuned.